One of the main objections that I get from researchers who are thinking about engaging in impact is, well, I want to do it, perhaps I feel I ought to do it, but I just don't have time to do it. I think that tackling that issue head on is crucial if we are going to enable and empower people to actually follow their heart and engage with people in the outside world to make a difference from their research. And so one of the key things that I encourage people to do is to plan for impact. If you plan effectively for impact, then actually that empowers you to now start to filter out the things that actually are not realistic in terms of your time or your resources, and start to much more strategically narrow in on, well, here's something feasible, here's something I could do, here's something I feel I've got the skills, the confidence to do. Great, this is actually something that feels okay to me. And a crucial difference now is that rather than hoping that you're going to have an impact, worrying that you're not having an impact, you have a plan that is feasible and you can actually get it done. And actually, the evidence suggests when you have a plan like this, it actually does happen. So, crucial to make a plan. The problem that people then come up with is, well, okay, but if I'm going to make a plan for my impact, I kind of need to know what it is that I'm trying to achieve. What is the change, the difference that I want to make? And actually, I, to this day, find this one of the hardest things. Coming up with a really clear, persuasive impact goal is actually a very hard thing to do. And it's not something we're typically trained in how to do as researchers. If you can crack this, however, in terms of your funding proposals, actually increasingly having a very persuasive and impressive feasible impact goal actually can really crack the funding for you as well. So it's really great to get this. But for me, if you're struggling with this, the first step is not to ask what impact do I want, but instead to ask who is interested in my work. And I've yet to find a researcher that can't answer that question. Someone, anyone other than your mum who might be interested in your research. And it may be a professional body, it may be schools and the curriculum, but someone somewhere who would be interested in your work. And once you can understand who that person is, maybe you even go and speak to that person and really explore why it is that they might be interested in your work. You can work back from that interest to say, well, why is it they're interested? What do they benefit from that? And now you have a kind of a prototypic impact goal. If you take that and then you say, right, well, what kind of activities could I do with these specific groups that would actually give them more meaning, more value, and really help them to dig into that interest and get some benefit from it, it starts to become clearer. And then come up with a couple of indicators. So you might think of some activity indicators that would tell you whether those activities are actually working or not, but also some impact indicators. So how would I know that they had benefited or not? Then it starts to get even clearer. And one final step that I take is I ask people to identify the means of measurement. So it could be qualitative or quantitative, but how would you actually be able to tell me very clearly that yes, that benefit had happened? And if you're really struggling at this point, I tell people to just to close their eyes and say, well, what can you see? 5 years from now, what does it look like? What would you hear? What would people say to you? And actually at that point now, it becomes that bit more concrete. And so you end up in a situation where you can revisit that impact goal and you can turn it into a SMART goal, which is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, timely. And that then becomes the kind of goal that can power you to some really impressive impacts with a plan, a bunch of activities for specific groups that you know are going to really work. The final step then is, well, I've got a bunch of these different stakeholder groups, publics, I've got a bunch of different activities, and I'm now strategically looking through and working out, right, these are the ones that I can do. I've got time to do, I've got resources to do, these are the ones I'm going to prioritise for my funding application, these are the things that I'm going to try and get done by the end of my PhD, and this becomes something tractable.